Hello, 7th grade. This lesson goes back to some stuff we've talked about before with scale factor and changing in dimensions. And we've talked about this a little bit in the last chapter, so this is a good review. And you notice it's talking about the difference between surface area and volume. And so if you do have a scale factor, for surface area, you are going to square the scale factor. And for volume, you're going to cube the scale factor. So their example here is a scale factor of 2. Since it's surface area, if you know the surface area, then you have to multiply the surface area by 2 squared to get the bigger cube surface area. In the next one, surface area, the scale factor is also 2, but since this is volume, you have to multiply it by the scale factor cubed. So this one would be multiplied by 4, and this one would be 8. Nice. That's actually a 4. It would actually be 8. So the basic idea of this whole lesson is you square the scale factor for the surface area and you cube the volume. You cube the scale factor for volume. Let's look at some specifics. So in these guided practice ones here, we see a surface area. Oh, I don't have the pen on. We have a surface area 1 and a volume. And then this is the one that is the trickiest one. But if they give you a surface area and they say it's 35, and then enlarged by a scale factor of 7. So since it's surface area, that would be 35 times 49, because we're going to take that scale factor and square it. In 2, where it's volume, we have 425, and since this is volume and the scale factor is this, we would multiply that times 1/3 cubed, which is the same as, let's see, 3 times 3 is 9 times 3, 27. So that is multiplying times 1/27, which in other words is 425 divided by 27. So now let's look at number 3, and that relates pretty well to another one on another page. So this one gives you not a surface area or volume, but it gives you the dimensions. They are talking about volume and surface area and scale factor of 1/2. Scale factor of 1/2. So just to get that ready for later, for surface area, that would be 1/2 times 1/2, 1/2 squared, which means 1/4. And then for the volume, that would be 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2, or 1/8. So eventually we are going to divide by 4 and divide by 8. But of course, this is one where I would say, did you draw a picture? This is a sink with a sliding lid. So should look something like this with the sliding lid. That way you can get the surface area of all the surfaces. And so we have a 16 and a 15 and a 6. The volume one is actually the easiest, because then you're going to do 16 times 15 times 6, and you're going to divide it all by 8, because again, 1/2 times 1/2 times 1/2. So that will give you the new volume. Then for the surface area, you have to actually get the surface area of every surface. And so you would have to say, all right, I have a 15 times 6 right here. So 15 times 6, and there are 2 of those because there's one on this side here and then one over here on the other side. So you got to always make sure you have them both. 15 times 6 times 2. And then the front of it would be 16. Can't get that 6 to work. 6 times 2 again. Because you have, we'll make it a 16 somehow. You have the one in the front and the one in the back. And then the top would be 16 times 15 times 2, because you have a top and a bottom. Add all those together, and that's your total surface area. And then, of course, you have to do the scale factor squared, since it's surface area. So whatever you get when you add all these together, you're going to divide it by 4, or multiply it times 1/2 squared. And you'll see another one like this on the assignment. Let's keep going and we'll show you what to do. Now most of these are pretty straightforward because you have a surface area. Let's get my pen back. You have a surface area question, surface area. Let's see, surface area and surface area. So, it's all looking pretty straightforward. Look at it carefully just to make sure there's something I didn't notice, though. A couple of volume ones. Volume. Remember, those are the cube ones. This one is the trickiest one. You should maybe work on this first and see how it goes. You can check your answer with Mrs. Lagervard and see what you think. This one says volume and surface area of this new building when it's completed. And scale factor is enormous. It's 144. Just to review, so when you get that surface area figured out, you're going to do 144 squared, and then for the volume, we're going to do 144 cubed. So I think the surface area and the volume of this, the model here is in inches, and they do them both in feet. So, when you get, let's look at the volume, for example. So if we take a look at the volume part, that would be 18 times 28 times 10. That'll give you the whole volume. And then, yes, you do need to multiply that times 144 cubed. You're going to get an enormous answer. But since it's such a big answer, it'd be better to have it in feet cubed rather than inches cubed. So the secret part of this is that it's hard to find anywhere how you would know this, but you know that there are 12 inches in a foot, and so you would take these inches, you can have this enormous number of inches, and then you're going to divide that by 12, and since it's volume, cubed. So, when you do all of this multiplication stuff, then you're going to divide it by 12 times 12 times 12. And that will give you your final answer in feet cubed. Hope that makes sense for the volume. And then for the surface area, again, you're going to have to do all of the surface area. Now, I guess to be picky on this, if you think about the top of this building, I think that's 10 times 18. But for surface area, you should only need one of those. You have the front and the back. Then the other side, those are 28 times 18, and you'll need two of those. And for this side here, that looks like 28 times 10 times 10, 28 times 10 times 2. And that should give you everything. And I'm going to pause this, and then we'll have to transition to another video in a minute here.